This is I Don't Want to Fit In podcast. I'm Anung, a fellow multi-passionate artist, author, photographer, poet, writer, and everything I feel like doing. Talking about all the ways we can be creative, from hobbies to full-time incomes. Going over tips and tricks, mindsets, and just the joys of putting what we love out into the world. You can follow me on Instagram at I Don't Want to Fit In podcast and Anung V. Reviewing and leaving comments is always a great and free way to support an artist. We spend too much time holding ourselves back on things. And I want people to kind of stop and think for themselves of what they want with their lives. And the thing is, we wait so much on just waiting for the special time to do things. Like, we've all heard of it. You wait to go to the beach until you've lost weight. You don't use that special bottle of wine until you have something that's like big to celebrate. You don't go on that vacation until you've gone to a certain income. Like, all these different things that you just hold off on, and you don't allow the mundane to be good. That something that somehow that only big giant special things that everyone's going to celebrate with you, it's not really good enough. And you should have times when just something random can just be just special enough for you. Like me having something where I had, like, I got a sale on something that I've been wanting for months. And I celebrated by, like, I called a friend up and told them. Like, that was the kind of the special thing. Or, like, I don't really quite understand or believe that you should be, like, buying things constantly to celebrate, but you should have the experiences out there to do certain things. Like, we all hear those stories of people who work their lives and work and hustle and everything else and do everything for their family and stuff, and then they get terminally ill, young or even kind of older, and realize that they've wasted so much of their time. Like, I don't want to have to worry or wait until I get a horrible diagnosis to realize I wasted my life. And especially when at times when it's something that it literally is terminal. Like, oh, you have a year to live, and now I have this little bit of time, if I'm lucky enough to be healthy enough for most of it before the demise, to actually do the stuff I wanted to do. If I wanted to travel, if I wanted to go somewhere, I want to try something. Like, I don't want to be in my 50s and realize I never wrote that book I wanted to write, that I never took that vacation that I've always wanted to go to, that I never took the chance to tell someone something important. Which, yes, my petty ass would be, sometimes you need to tell them the bad things too. I'm kind of like, yeah, no, you were a horrible friend. And I want someone to know that, because hopefully that they can change and do better with themselves. But there are times too that I'm kind of like, I've had times where I didn't share certain things because I didn't think it was that important. Like, I wrote an article and it actually got published in a magazine, and I bought myself a couple of the magazines just to, like, have, and I didn't tell anybody for like 2 months. And it kind of just slipped out at a friend gathering for, like, other, like, business people and everything else. And then they're like, oh yeah, well, let me know about it. And then one of the people actually shared it in the group, which then got seen by my own family members. And then they were kind of like, well, don't you have some magazines? I want one. So I gave one to my mom and gave one to my grandma, because they were so excited for me. And I didn't even take the time to celebrate it. I didn't take the time to be happy about it. It was just kind of like, it was a check mark. And the thing is, it should have been special. It should have been a great thing, because that's kind of what I've always wanted. I always want to be a writer. I always want to tell stories. That's why I love doing podcasts. That's why I love just all of my photography, because my photography comes with, I usually do them in series. Most people don't see them, but that's how I have them done. So I see a progression to them. There's like an idea to it, a feeling or everything else. And that's what I want. But I don't show in there. Like, I didn't tell anybody that a lot of my photography that I took one summer up at the International Wolf Center got used by their program. Like, a few of them were on the website. One of them was in one of their calendars. They used it for their teaching program. Like, I didn't actually tell anybody anything about that. And I should have. Because I was happy about it. I was, yes, in the very beginning, especially, actually proud of myself. But I didn't allow it to be special. I didn't allow it to just be something big for me or for other people. And the thing is, too, like, we shouldn't have to wait until we're older to actually have all these good things in our lives. Because I know, I'm so glad the atmosphere and everything else is changing with people in work, that we shouldn't be staying in toxic jobs. We shouldn't be working ourselves to death. That we shouldn't have to hold off on good things in life until we've made it a certain level. Like, we've made a certain amount of money, or we sacrificed enough of ourselves. It's kind of like, no, people want to be able to actually enjoy their families if they ever have children, to actually not be in horrible debt most of their lives. Like, take the vacation that you want to take. Actually take your time off. Actually take care of yourself when you're sick. Like, that's kind of the thing about it all, is that you want to be able to enjoy the stuff. Like, you want to be remembered. Like, I had 1 year in my life, but when I was going through, just before I figured out I was going to go through with my divorce, is that I don't remember most of that year because I did so little of importance for it. Like, I didn't take care of myself. I felt like shit. I didn't see family and friends very often because it was so overwhelming. And I could have used that support, but also I could have actually taken the time to enjoy myself. Like, I used to go to, like, the conservatory all the time. Like, I could have gone to the zoo. I could have just walking around a park, like going hiking and everything else. I used to do all the time. But that last couple of years of relationship made it so hard because it was just so much work in it that I didn't allow myself to have that special time. Even though it was mundane. Like, I just didn't. I didn't let myself to have that. The thing is, we should be able to, especially because we're younger, that we have the energy, that we actually have the time to just explore the world, explore ourselves. You shouldn't allow special to be with you at all time. You shouldn't wait for it. You shouldn't have to earn it. That's the thing. You don't have to earn it. You have to just take the time. You need to accept it. Like, I don't care if no one believes in that woo-woo stuff, but like, I do. Like, I believe in the manifestation that you can actually have so much things better in your life. Like, this is my year of concerts. Like, I've already gone to 3 really big concerts of people I've loved for a while. And I used to go to concerts all the time with a friend in high school in the beginning of summer. And then I just kind of let it go because responsibilities got in the way. I'm kind of like, well, I can always do something a little less important, but still kind of fun. Like, I gave myself too many scales of certain things instead of just letting myself be happy about it. That's kind of the thing. You should be able to be happy about it, about every day of your life. Like, not in the sense of like, you don't need to be like horribly obsessed about always being happy, but you should be content. You should have these good moments and actually remember them. Like, I don't remember most of 2019 other than the horrible problems with my now ex and the shit he put me through. Like, that shouldn't be the whole of my existence. That year was awful. Like, I pretty much stopped letting myself be in pictures for a couple of years because I was so stressed. I couldn't eat healthy. And I didn't like how I looked. I didn't like how I felt and everything else. And I pretty much just let myself partially disappear. Because nothing about my life was special. Nothing about what I was doing was of any importance. And you need to have that in your life. It doesn't need to be huge things. Like, I'm not saying, like, go travel the world for a year. I'm not saying to, like, build your own house from scratch. Like, it may take you a few years maybe to buy a condo. I know in this market, it's shit right now. But, like, whatever the dream is, like, to finally get a pet, if that's what your thing was. Whatever makes you happy. To finally decide to buy that sewing machine and try your hand at making clothes. Like, I knew someone who waited until she was like, God, right now, Yeah, she started in her mid 30s, and this was like a while ago for me. She wanted to actually make costumes for like cons. Some of them for like Renaissance festivals, some of them for like Comic Con, anime conventions, and stuff like that. Like she really enjoyed like picturing it and drawing out and everything else, but she never did it because it wasn't the idea of that, well, it has to make us money. Yeah, it's got to be productive. When actually you could just, she just had fun with it. Like sometimes she would have other people buy stuff from her, like they would pay for the material and everything else, and she would make it and just make a little bit of money, or they would like pay for her ticket as like compensation kind of thing. But yeah, she waited so long, and she like again, don't make it feel like that you wasted your time. Whenever you start it, which is now, is just as important. Like you can keep the rest of your life to be just as good. Like this, like once the pandemic hit, yeah, it was awful. Believe me, it's awful. People dying, people sick. Everyone was scared and everything else. But I did so much good for myself. I took care of myself. I went on and did things that I loved again. Like once things are slightly opening up, I went to a bunch of concerts, which I hadn't gone for a while. I went on a couple trips. Like I was doing so much more for myself. I am so much happier. And it's the smallest things. Like being able to just get up and walk my dog when I feel like it, that made it so much more happy for me and more content. Like that's my special. So make sure you find your own and you grab it whenever you can.